Hello and welcome to Life at Pulse. Today we will go over a GED Math Practice Test to prepare you for your upcoming GED Math exam. I hope you learn one or the other thing in our session today, and I wish you all the best for passing your GED Math test. But yeah, for now let's practice a little bit and let's get started with the test. So the first page, the first 3 questions are required to be solved without a calculator. So we see in the first question here that we have an equation, and the question is that what is the solution to this equation if z is equal to -3. So all that we do here is we put -3 into the equation for z, so that is -3 cubed plus 2 times -3 plus 3 over -3 squared plus 1. So cubing -3 is basically -3 times -3 times -3, so that will give us a negative number. Multiplying 3 negative numbers gives us a negative number, and that should be 27 minus 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. 2 times -3 is positive number. So, no, sorry, that is 2 times. 2 times -3 is going to be negative. Huh? So 2 times plus 2 times -3 is -6 plus 3 over -3 squared, so that is -3 times -3. So squaring a negative number gives us a positive number, so that's going to be 9 plus 1. And here we can see if we add the numbers up on the top side, that will give us -30 divided by 10, and that is -3. So the answer is D. The second equation, each of 4 CDs can contain up to 3.6 hours of recorded music. So 4 CDs, 1 CD equals 3.6 hours of music. If each of the CDs is at least half full, that is 1.8. If each of the CDs is at least half full, so from 1.8 at least half full, so not less than half full, but can be more. So between 1.8 and 3.6 hours of music. Which of the following expression represents the total amount of music contained on all 4 CDs? So that would be 1.8 times 4 and 3.6 times 4. That is 7.2. And that is 0.6 times 4 is 2.4, and 3 times 4 is 12, so 14.4. So that is the minimum amount of music. This is the maximum amount of music. So x is going to be greater than 7.2, but smaller or equal to, no, so actually equal to 14.4. So the correct answer is C. Traveling at an average speed of 58 miles per hour. Terence drives 145 miles. Three hours later, Terence makes the return trip at the same speed. How much total time elapses between Terence's total original departure and the final return? So we know that speed is equal to distance over time. Now we're looking for the time, so we are rearranging for time, which is distance divided by speed. Our distance traveled is 2 times 145 miles, which is 290 miles divided by 58. And yeah, so this may look difficult a little bit, but think about this. Half of 58 is 29, so 290 divided by 29 is 10. Therefore, 58 divided by 290 divided by 58 is 5. Now, or if we multiply 290 by 2, then we see that is 580. Yeah, so that is 5 hours, and very important is to not overlook this in the text here, that he had a 3-hour stop before he did his return trip, so we need to add these 3 hours to the 5, and that makes a total of 8 hours. The average temperature in degrees Fahrenheit in the month of July in Clark City is 4 times the average temperature in the month of February. If the average temperature in July was 82 degrees, which of the following equations could be used to determine the average temperature in February? T. Okay, so instead of X, we can use T. So you saw that I already wrote these things down while I was reading the text, and I can only recommend you try doing this in the actual math exam as well. It will probably save you a few minutes, and it helps you to structure the information in a word question like this. So again, what I did here is I read that the average temperature in degrees Fahrenheit in the month of July in Clark City is 4 times the average temperature in the month of February. So that tells me that we have an unknown here that is the average temperature in February, and we know that the temperature in July is 4 times as much. So therefore our unknown is the temperature in February, and in July it's 4 times as much as in February, so 4 times the temperature of February is the average temperature of July. And then we are told the actual average temperature of July, which is 82. So to find T, all that we need to do is move the 4 over to the other side, Since it's multiplication here, that means we need to divide on the other side, and that's our equation that we are looking for. And okay, so they actually didn't solve that yet, so B is the correct answer. 40 equals 82. If 20% of a shipment of 50,000 tomatoes is crushed during transport, and then 5% of the remaining tomatoes are lost to insects, then how many tomatoes remain? So that is this. How do we do a percentage calculation? So we can rewrite this as times 20 divided by 100, and then times 5 the result, and divide that. We can do this in 2 steps, probably easier. So we divide by 100, which means we can just cross out 2 zeros. 2 times 5 is 10, and then we are remaining with 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3 zeros. If 20% of a shipment of 50,000 is crushed, okay, actually 5% of the remaining tomatoes. So that is actually not the correct equation here. So yeah, don't need to write this in a full equation. We do this step by step. It's probably easier. So that gives us 2 times 5 is 10, and then we have 3 zeros remaining. 1, 2, 3, no? 1, 2, and 3. 10,000. This is the amount of tomatoes that gets crushed. So obviously we have to subtract that from the 50,000, which gives us 40,000. So this is the remaining tomatoes, and now 5% of that is 40,000 minus 40,000 times 5 over 100. That is, again, we can cross out these 2. 5 times 400 is going to be 5 times 4 is 22,000. So that leaves us with 38,000 tomatoes. That goes into the box. That's a bit large to write into the box. So 38,000 tomatoes are remaining. So one thing that you have to be careful about here is you cannot just add up the 20% and the 5%, because we're not looking for 5% of 50,000. We are looking of 5% of the tomatoes of the remaining 40,000. So we have to do this in 2 steps. So for this part we may use a calculator. Question 6. The figure above shows the worker distribution in a given country. If the total population of workers is 2.3 million, how many workers are employed neither in clerical nor in professional occupations? So that means that 2.3 million is equal to 100%. That's our 100%. That's the total number of workers. How many workers are employed? Neither in clerical nor in professional occupation. So we are looking basically for the number of workers that are employed in this. So that is a total of 41 57%. And again, now we can, this time we can use a calculator. So you can, in the actual GED exam, you will have an on-screen calculator where you can use that. You may have the percentage sign there, so you could just do 2.3 million, 230,000 times 57%, or you do this, and that is equal to, probably don't even need a calculator here, because if we look at the number, half of that number, so 50% of that number is that is 1.15 million. That's half, and we know we have a bit more than half, and the only number that is greater than this is A. So that's a faster way to solve questions like this, to have a little estimate and use the possible answers that you're given. So it's really just one option that we have here. Miriam and Betty buy a total of 42 stamps. Now that's again our 100%. Miriam bought 6 more stamps than Betty. How many stamps did, so we have basically x plus 6, that's Miriam, plus x is Betty, and that is equal to 42. So why are Miriam and Betty both x in this case? This is actually the same number. So if we take an unknown number x and we add 6 to this number, then that is the number of stamps of Miriam. And just the x without adding the 6 to it is the number of stamps that Betty bought. So in terms of an equation, we can summarize these two terms. X plus x is equal to 2x plus 6 is equal to 42. And now we're solving for x. So we get rid of the 6 on this side. We do this by subtracting the 6 from the 42, which is equal to 36, and then we divide 36 by 2, and that is 18. Actually, we're looking for how many stamps did Miriam buy, so we need to add the 6 again to this, which is equal to 24. So Betty bought 18 and Miriam bought 24. We can actually check if this works out. 18 plus 24 is equal to 42, which is the total number of stamps. Refer to the following number line. Here is 0, minus 1, minus 1, and 1. Select the point on the number line that corresponds to the value p plus s. P is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So p is minus 5 plus s is 1, 2, 3. And that is equal to minus 2. So that would be here. Select the point on the number line that corresponds to q minus r minus t. So if you have these lines here, that basically, in very simple terms, this turns any negative number that we enter here into a positive number. So in these brackets, there are no negative numbers existing basically. Oh, but we can still subtract. That's possible. So that means q in this case, although q is usually minus 3 because it's in between here, it's just a 3. And we subtract r from it, which is 1. So this will give us 2. And then we subtract, now this is not in between the lines, minus t is 1, 2, 3. No, so 1, 2, 3, 4, minus 4, and that should give us minus 2 as well. No, sorry, so this was wrong, this step here. So we actually, no, we just do our calculation normally in here. So we do minus 3 minus 1, which is equal to minus 4, yes. And so these two lines here mean that, yeah, we have an absolute value. I'll remember the word. So an absolute value doesn't have a sign. It's always positive, basically. So the minus 4 turns into just 4. So important to know, this is the mistake that I just made here. Important to know or to remember is that when there is an equation or a calculation within the absolute sign, you just do this calculation normally, and whatever result you get within here, if it's a negative number, it turns into a positive number. If it's a positive number, it just stays a positive number. So they're basically no negative absolute numbers, they're always positive. And yeah, that changes this equation to 4 minus 4, and that is 0. So our second number is 0, marked here. Since its formation 10,000 years ago, Niagara Falls has eroded upstream a distance of 9.8 miles. Which of the following equations indicates the distance d that Niagara Falls continue at this rate will erode in the next 22,000 years? So that means that in 10,000 years, the Niagara Falls have eroded 9.8 miles. So that means 9.8 miles have eroded in 10,000 years. So if we divide this by 10,000, This will give us the distance that it erodes per year. And if we multiply the distance that it erodes per year by 22,000, that would give us the distance that it will erode in the next 22,000 years. So this multiplied by 22,000 would give us D. Now this equation we don't have, do we? Yes, we do. No, we don't, in this form at least. This is a plus, and it's important to notice here. It's not times. This is times, but this should be swapped. So again, as in the previous question, the equation is not correctly or not fully rearranged yet. D is not made the subject yet. Now A is the correct answer here. Maybe you saw it already. Again, now we can basically move the 22,000 over to the other side, which would be 9.8 over 10,000 is equal to D over 22,000. This basically means that the rate at which the Niagara Falls eroded the last 10,000 years is equal to the rate at which it erodes over the next 22,000 years. And this is the assumption that was made in the text. Now, if it continues to erode at this rate. So, and to find D, we just have to move the 22,000 over to the other side by multiplying it, so we can cancel it out on this side. Now, if we multiply 22,000 here and the same operation on the other side to keep it the same, then we can see that this will cancel out, and we are left with D equals 9.8 over 10,000 times 22,000. Number 11. A science class compares the relative strength of two telescopic lenses. Lens X produces a magnification of 3 times 10 to the power of 5, and lens Y produces a magnification of 6 times 10 to the power of 2. So this is scientific notation here. 3 times 10 to the power of 5 is equal to 3 with 5 zeros. 6 times 10 to the power of 2 is a 6 with 2 zeros. Which of the following statements accurately describes the relationship between the two lenses? Lens X produces a magnification 200% that of lens Y. Lens X is 200 times stronger as lens Y. Lens X produces lens X 500 times stronger. So we can already see, so it's either, we can check which one is, we can either exclude A and B or C and D by just checking, okay, if we multiply Y with 5 times 6, then we will get 30. Whereas if we multiply it by 2, it's 12. So that means we see that we have to somehow get from 600 to 3 million. And if we multiply it by a number that starts with 2, we will get 1.2 or 1/12 with a certain amount of zeros. How many at the moment doesn't really matter, but we can just see immediately that multiplying it by a number that starts with 2 will not give us a number that starts with 3. So we can immediately exclude answer A and answer B. 500% that of length Y. So that means that increasing it by 500% would mean if 600 is equal to 100%, then 500% is equal to 5 times 600 basically. And 5 times 600 is not equal to 3 million. So if we check what 600 times 500 is, 5 times 3 is 30. We already did that, and then we have 4 zeros left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 300,000, sorry, not 3 million. So that is the correct answer. Length x is 500 times as strong as length y. If Mark can mow 2/3 of a lawn in 1 hour, how many hours does it take him to mow the entire lawn? Two-thirds of the lawn times. So we're looking for x. So that means we need to bring the 3/2 over to the other side, and if we, in an equation, we multiply. Here we multiply, this we divide, so we basically flip that 1 times 3/2, and 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 2 is 2, so x is equal to 3/2, which is the same as 1/2, which is answer C, 1.5 hours. In other words, 2/3 in 1 hour, that means he can mow 1/3 in 0.5 hours. How many thirds are there? There are 3/3. That means the whole would be finished in 1.5 hours. So here we have a box with the dimensions shown. A designer wishes to paint the 4 larger sides of the box, leaving the smallest 2 sides unpainted. What will be the total surface area of the 4 sides that are painted? So this is the smallest side here, which is not painted, so we will paint this side, and then the 2 corresponding sides that we can't see, so the underside and the side on the right. So then how do we find surface area? Surface area is length times width. So for the large area, that is 10 times 7, and again we have this side 2 times, and then we add that to the medium-sized area, which is the medium side, which is this one. This is 2.5 times 10. And again, we will have this 2 times, so 2.5 times 10. 7 times 10 is 70 times 2 plus 2 times 25. 2.5 times 10 is 25. That is 140 plus 50, which is 190 square meters. That's a B. Evaluate 3x bracket x minus 2a minus x. Actually, not. Okay, let's read the whole thing. If x is equal to minus 2 and a is equal to 0.5, so just put that in. 3 times minus 2 multiplied by x minus 2 minus 2 minus 2 times 0.5 to the power of minus 2. So in front we will have 3 times minus 2, which is minus 6, and let's see what we have in the brackets here. 2 times 0.5 is 1, so minus 2 minus 1, and then minus 2 is 2. Minus 2 is 2. So that's minus 6 minus 3 squared. We learned earlier, when we square a negative number, it's always going to be positive. So minus 3 squared is equal to 9. Minus 6 plus 9 is equal to 3. Also here, yeah, this question is a lot about rules with minus and plus. And yeah, a little bit, yeah, basically minus and plus rules, a little bit exponent rules. So you really have to be able to move the numbers around correctly, do the subtractions and additions correctly. So make sure that you practice this before you take the math test, that you're confident working with negative and positive numbers, adding them, multiplying them, and so on. Make sure you're confident with exponent laws. Yeah. Then number 15, based on the following figure. So here we have a triangle. We can see that the two angles are the same. Given that the triangle above is an isosceles triangle, if side x is equal to perimeter of the triangle will be equal to okay, so the smallest possible number is 9. Isosceles means this side and this side is the same length. So 2 times 9, I think we have to try around here a little bit. 2 times 9 is 18, 2 times 10 is 20, 2 times 13 is 26, 2 times 16 is 32. And now we have to add 16 to all of these for the perimeter. 18 plus 16 is 34. Oh yeah, okay, so we have one already. If it's 9, then it's 34. Mrs. Carter decides to buy a computer system for her son. She spent $1,500 for a computer and LCD monitor. $650 for a color laser printer, $250 for an external hard drive. What would be the total cost of the system if the cost of the computer and monitor cost 10% more? Okay, so 10% of 1,500 is not basic, very simply calculated. That would be times 10 divided by 100. Now this is basically divided by 10, which is 150. So this is the 10%. Now obviously it costs that much more, so it's 1,500 plus 150. So we can do this, different way as well. We could just multiply 1,500 for the 10%. That would be the same to do, not 10 divided by 100 is equal to 0.1. So if you do percent calculations, you can just divide your percent by 100 and then multiply it. 0.1, that would give us the 10%, but then we would still have to add that to the 1,500. So if we want to make it in one step, type it into the calculator. To avoid this step here, now we know this is equal to 0.1 to 10%, and this is 1, the 100%. So we can just do 1,500 times 1.1, and that will give us 1,650 as well. So that's how much more it would be for the computer and monitor. And then we have to add, obviously, this to the whole thing. Together, this is equal to $900. So 1,650 plus 900 is equal to 2,550. Universal Products has 78 employees. If twice as many women work for Universal as men, how many women work for Universal? So this is a similar question as we had before with what was it, Betty and Miriam. This question here, total of 42 stamps. Miriam bought 6 more stamps than Betty did. This is a very similar question here. Again, we know the total, 78 employees, twice as many women work for Universal as men. So in terms of men, how many women work there? 2x. This is the number of women working there expressed in the terms of men, x. And then we add, obviously, the number of men that work there as well, plus x. So that means the total number of people that work there is 3x equals to 78. Now again, if we break this down, so x is our unknown. This is the number of men that work there. So we are told that there are twice as many women as men. So in terms of x, twice as many, 2 times x is the number of women. And then we add that together, and that gives us the total number 78. 2x plus x is 3x. X plus x plus x is 3x. 78. So that means x is equal to 78 divided by 3. And that is equal to 26. Yes, 26. So that would be the number of men. And we want to know the number of women. That means we multiply this by 2 again. That means 2x is equal to 2 times 26, which is equal to 52. And that is answer A. In a study of bird migration, a researcher recorded on a certain day a total of 262 birds, consisting of 65 geese, 84 ducks, and 113 robins. Below shows a possible equation for calculating the probability that a random bird chosen from among these is not a duck. So probability is basically the same as percentage. Just again, probability is between 0 and 1, where 0 represents 0% and 1 represents 100%. So the only difference is that in a probability equation, we don't multiply by 100 in the last step. So if we would multiply this by 100, then we would get the percentage of spotting a bird that is not a duck. So how do we do this? Well, the number, so we don't want a duck, so we are not using the 84. That means here goes the 113, and we add 65 to that. So this is the part of birds, and the total of birds is 262. So if we would multiply this by 100, that would give us the percentage of birds that are not ducks of the total number of birds. But again, if we don't multiply this by 100, this will give us a number between 0 and 1, which is the probability. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to 2a in brackets, let's actually copy that, 2a in brackets, a minus 3b squared plus a squared. So here we can solve the brackets. First, expand the brackets. That means we need to multiply everything that's in the brackets with the term in front. 2a times a is 2a squared. 2a times minus 3b squared is minus 6ab squared, and then we have solved the brackets, we've expanded the brackets, plus a square, and we can see that we can, here we have like terms, 2a squared plus a squared is a total of 3a squared. Again, 2a squared we could as well write as a squared plus a squared And then we have another a squared here plus a squared. Now we can summarize this as how many a squares do we have? We have 3. So 3a squared minus 6ab squared. Is that a possible answer? No, it's not. Okay, so what they did here now we can actually put this into brackets again. Find the like term in both situations here is a. So we do the same as here. We take out and 6 and 3 share a common multiple as well, which is 2, or 2 times 3 is 6. So this time we take out 3a minus 2b squared. So now if we check this again, 3a times a is 3a squared, and 3a times minus 2b is minus 6ab squared. So the correct answer here is D. If the slope of the line shown is 3, then what is the x-coordinate of point B? So we know that y is equal to, slope is 3. Now our general formula is mx plus c, where m is the slope and c is the y intercept. So we have one full point. So we know that m is 3. We don't know c yet, so we can, this is a y value here, this is an x value, so we can put that into the equation. Minus 10 is equal to 3 times minus 2 plus c, so now we can find c. 2 times minus 2 is minus 6, so minus 10 is equal to minus 6 plus what? Minus 4. So minus 10 is equal to minus 6 minus 4. That's true, that's correct. So now we know that c is equal to minus 4. And now we can find x. 11 is equal to 11, which is the y, is equal to 3x minus 4. So now we're looking for x, so we're moving the 4 over to the other side, but plussing it, so that 11 plus 4 is 15. 15 is equal to 3x. Now we need to divide by 3, and 15 divided by 3 is 5 is equal to x. Now x is equal to 5. So that is D. Given that the slope of the line is 3, what is the equation of the line? Yeah, we already found that. Y is equal to 3x minus 4. Working for 4 hours a day, a typist earns $65.4 a day after taxes. The same rate of pay, what would he earn per day if he worked 7 hours a day? Let N represent after tax earnings. So, at this rate, rate of pay means per hour. How much does he earn per hour? 65.4 divided by 4 will give us the number, his hourly pay after taxes. And what would he earn if he worked 7 hours? So we multiply that rate times 7. So we can obviously move the 4 over here if we want to, which is the same. So 65.4 times 7 over 4. That's the same thing, same way of writing that, or we could write it as 65.4 times 7 over 4. That's fine too. All of these ways of writing it are the same basically. So that means the correct answer 7 over 4 times 65. That is the answer B. (23) and 24 refer to the following graph. So we have like a bar chart here. Confused with 25 here. The graph above shows the results of a survey that asked moviegoers to choose their favorite type of movie. If the chart represents all the people surveyed, and if each person chose only one type of movie, then choose 2 numbers below that could appropriately complete the graph, showing values for action, adventure, and drama. By percentage. Okay, this is very important. So this is really something that we have to spot here. So that means that all these numbers obviously need to add up to 100%. And yeah, that should be quite simple. So we need to add up all of these here first. So that's 25 plus 22 plus 8 plus 10, and that is 30, 40, 20, 65%. So we're looking for 35%. Will add up to 100%. So from here we need to find 2 numbers that add up to 35. And we can as well see that action adventure has a greater percentage than drama. So action adventure needs to be the larger number. Can't be, there has to be, we can see as well that it has to be smaller than 22, the larger number. So the numbers are larger than 10, so it cannot be this, it cannot be this. 19 plus 17 is 36. That would be 34. So 17 plus 18 is 35. So that means action adventure is 18 and drama must be 17. 18 plus 17 is 35. Which of the following correctly represents the ratio of comedy to other types as given in the bar graph? comedy to other types. Other types is here. So the ratio is 10 to 25, or actually 25 to 10. So whole number ratio. How do we find a whole number ratio? We divide both numbers by the smallest number first to get a ratio based on 1. And this is now a decimal, so we need to turn that into a whole number. 2.5 is turned into a whole number by multiplying it by 2, so we multiply this whole thing by 2, so it will be 5 to 2. And that is answer A. And it's important, so we could fall for C, but it says the ratio of comedy to other. So here is comedy and here is other. 5 to 2. Comedy to other. Tickets for a train trip sell for the following prices. First class $6, second class $3.5. Which of the following expressions represents the average ticket price for all tickets sold if the station sells 110 first class tickets? And 172 second class tickets. So how do we find the average or the mean? We add up all the numbers that we have and then we divide by the total number of numbers. So since we only have really two numbers here, that's 6 and 3.5. But how often do we have these numbers? We have 6 110 times and we have 3.5 172 times. So we can just write that as a multiplication. 110 times 6, that's how often we have the 6, and we have the 3.5 172 times. And then we need to divide by the total number of numbers, and that is 110 plus 172, and that will give us the average or the mean, and we can see that is answer D. If y is equal to a half x plus 3 and x is greater than 0, then x is equal to. Check something here for this question. Yeah, this. This does not really make sense. This is the wrong equation. This should say 4x plus 3 squared equals 144. So now we can solve that and look for the x that is greater than 0. So first we need to bring this into standard form, I guess. Or actually, what we can do here, okay, so this is something we can You should be able to spot this. 144 is a perfect square. So what we can do here is we can take the square root on both sides, and the square root will cancel out the square here, which means we are left with 4x plus 3, and the square root of 144 is 12. Now we can easily solve that for x, which 4x is equal to 9, and then x is equal to 9 over 4, which is 8 divided by 4 is 2, 1 over 4, or 2.25. So that is the answer here. Question 27 refers to the following diagram. Okay, so these are the distances in between the points. The towns in Maple County are located along a 35-mile section of an interstate at the points A, B, C, D, E, and F, as shown in the diagram above. The Maple County Post Office is located midway between position A and E. The location of the post office is between which of the following points? Okay, so that is basically 7 plus 8 plus 2 plus 6. That is 23 miles. This distance here is 23. We divide this by 2, which is 11.5. And we see 7 is smaller than 11.5. 7 plus 8 is 15, which is larger, so that means it must be somewhere between B and C. The total bill for 4 friends eating at a restaurant, including tax, is $36. The friends wish to add 20% tip and then to divide the bill evenly among the 4 of them. How much will each person pay? So first we need to add 20%. Again, now we can do the third short method, which I taught you earlier. So adding 20% means we need to keep the 36, so times 1. 1 times 36 is 36, plus 20% is times 0.2, so 36 times 1.2. And then we need to divide this by 4. And using a calculator for this calculation, we will quickly get to the result, 10.8, which is answer C. 29 refers to the following coordinate plane grid. If the equation of the line, here we have the equation now from the previous page where it was wrong. Y equals 1 over 2x plus 3. Then mark on the graph the point where the line crosses the y axis. Okay, so this is well, very straightforward. And to the point where the line crosses the x-axis. So we know that the y-intercept, so this is the first one, the y-intercept is 3. Now that's what this part is of the equation. So the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis, and it should cross the x-axis right here, because this is our graph So how could we do this? Now we know that the slope is half. So that means for every or that means that y increases by 2 when x increases. X has to go, we have to go 2 steps in x to increase 1 step in y. No? So we could do the same. No? Just going back stepwise, 2 steps in y, going 1 down in x, 2 steps in y, going 1 down in x, 2 steps in y, going 1 down in x. So that's a graphical way to find the second point. Mathematically, we could rearrange this equation so we know that in this case x is equal to 0. So what we can do is on this point where the line crosses the x-axis, we know that y is equal to 0. No? So for this point here, y is equal to 0. So we can add this into the equation. 0 is equal to 1 over 2x plus 3, and then we can solve for x. So that means 1 over 2x is equal to minus 3. And then we need to get rid of the 1 over 2 by multiplying by 2. X is equal to minus 3 times 2, minus 6. And that's what we marked here, minus 6. Karen put 60% of her paycheck into her savings account. If Karen puts 120 into her savings account, what was the amount of her entire paycheck? So 120 is equal to 60%. How much is 100%? So that means, so percentage is always part over whole times 100 equals percent. This time we are looking for the whole, which is the total. So we have basically 120, which is our part, divided by x times 100 equals to 60. So that means we multiply by x and we divide by 60. So 120 divided by 60 times 100 is equal to x. And we move this onto this side and we move the x onto the other side. 120 divided by 60 is 2. 2 times 100 is 200. So therefore x is equal to 200. A rainfall doubled the original amount of water in a reservoir in 1 day and quadrupled the original amount in 5 days. Which of the following expression represents the approximate amount of water in the reservoir after the 5 days of rain if there were x gallons of water in the reservoir? Doubled the original amount. Yeah, so this question is a bit tricky. It plays with us a little bit, so we get too much information here. So the question is basically, if there were x gallons of water in the reservoir before the rainfall represents the approximate amount of water in the reservoir after 5 days. So the information that we don't need is the information that it was doubled after 1 day. Because we're not interested in what happened after 1 day. We're interested in what happened after 5 days. And after 5 days, the amount of water in the reservoir quadrupled. Now, that's all that we need to know. It's 4 times more than at the beginning, and that's C, 4x. At Lakeside Park Restaurant, servers earn an average of $840 less per month than chefs. So this is the expression for the salary of the servers. The restaurant employs 4 chefs and 18 servers. Let C represent the average monthly pay of a chef. So this is for a server. How many servers are there? There are 18 servers. How many chefs are there? 4 chefs. Which of the following functions correctly shows the relationship between the monthly payroll and the wages of these employees? There it is, D. Now this is the salary of 1 server, so this 18 times, we need to put this in brackets. We can't have that outside the brackets like this. This would be 18 times the salary of a chef minus 1 time 840. No, but we need to subtract the 840 for every server individually. So we need to put brackets around. No, and this is the same as that. The town of Wood Green offers billboard space along the highway. A 5-foot by 8-foot rectangular advertising space costs $140. The price P of a sign is proportional to its area. A new sign erected in the billboard space costs $336. If the new sign is 8 feet tall, then what is its length? Okay, so that's a bit tricky. Let's see what we can do here. So that means area. So first we need to figure out the area of the first. 5 times 8 is 40 square foot. So that will cost us 140. Now we can do a simple ratio equation here. So if 40 foot cost 140, then an X foot billboard will cost 360. So that means the area of that billboard would be equal to 360 over 140 times 40. It's 100 2.86, 103 roundabout. We divide this by 8. That is equal to 12.86. So the answer that makes no sense should be this one. No, wait, why did I? No, wondering why would I get a decimal? I used the wrong number here. It's not 360. Sorry. So let's do this again. Price is not 360. It's 336. So that would be 336 divided by 140 times 40 is 96. And then this is the area, square foot of the larger billboard, and we want to know its length, and if it's 8 feet tall, so we need to divide this by 8, and that is 12. So 12 feet. Team A has won 28 of 35 games so far this season. There are a total of 44 games in the entire season. How many of the remaining games must Team A win in order to have an overall win percentage of 75? 44 times 0.75 will give us 75% of the total games. And that is 33. How many of the remaining games, how many games remain? 44 minus 35, that is 9. They have won 28 already. They need to win 33. And that is 5. So they need to win 5 more games. 35 refers to the following diagram. What is the area of the figure above? Area of the figure above. So we can split this simply into different shapes like this. So this one is easy. 11 times 15, that is 165. And this is 6 times 3. That is equal to, so not 1 times 3, 6 times 3 is equal to 18. 165 plus 18 is 183. A certain chest, a regular solid, has the following dimensions: 1.5 foot wide, 2.5 foot long, and 2 foot in depth. If the chest currently holds 3 blankets that individually occupy 1 cubic foot each, then how many additional space is available in the chest? 1.5 times 2.5 times 2 is 7.5 cubic foot. One blanket occupies 1, there are 3, so 7.5 minus 3 is equal to 4.5. Michelle had a medical bill of $850 after she paid the deductible of $500. Her insurance company paid 80% of the remainder. How much of the bill did Michelle have to pay? $80% of the remainder. So the remainder is $350. No? 850 minus 500 is 350. 80% of that times 0.8 is equal to 280. So how much did she have to pay? 350 minus 280 is equal to 70. So here we have two cylinders. The volume of cylinder L is less than half, slightly smaller than equal to, slightly larger than, more than twice. Okay, so formula for the volume of a cylinder is the area of the circle times its height. Area of a circle is 2 pi r squared. If you don't know that, there's a formula sheet, times the height of the cylinder. Radius is half the diameter, so the radius here is 10, the radius here is 4. So we can put that into the calculator. Okay, so for the first one, 2 pi. No, I made a mistake here. The area of a circle is not 2 pi r squared, it's just pi r squared. So that 2 is wrong here. So the volume is equal to that. We can substitute for the first one. Radius is 4, height is 20. 16 times 20 would be pi. So 4 squared, 16 times 20, 320 pi. For the other, that would be volume is equal to pi 10 squared times 8. 10 squared is 100. So we're left with 800 pi, and we can see that the volume of cylinder L is less than half of the volume of cylinder R. Now 320 is less than the half of 800. The half of 800 is 400, 320 is less than that. If cylinder L is filled with water and then emptied into cylinder R, which was previously empty, then what will the height of the water in cylinder R be? Okay, so we already know the volume of water that fits into the cylinder, which is this much. So we pour this into this cylinder, which will give us basically a new cylinder with a certain height and that volume and this radius. So we know that the volume in that cylinder is going to be, or that of the water that we fill in is going to be equal to 320 pi. And we know as well that the radius is 10, so it's going to be pi 10 squared times the height. So again, 10 squared is 100. So we just move that over to the other side. 320 pi divided by 100. Pi cancels out. In this case, that's the height. 320 divided by 100 is equal to 3.2. An airplane can hold 325 passengers, 30 in first class, and the rest in coach if the first class tickets cost $700 and a coach ticket costs $150, then what is the minimum revenue that the airplane will gross on a flight in which exactly 3 seats remain empty? The minimum revenue. So that means 3 first class seats remain empty. So 3 first class seats, so we actually, so we have 27 times 700 plus, and then the remaining seats are 325 minus 30 is 295, so 295 times 250. And if we type that into the calculator, that will give us $92,650. 41 and 42 refer to the following number line. Let x be the distance between points A and E. As shown on the number line above, indicate where the point x divided by 3 would appear. So the total distance is from -7 to 5. That is a total of 7 plus 5 is 12. 12 divided by 3 is 4. -7, 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. -3. Indicate where on the number line at the point B minus C minus D would appear. B is -5. -2 is +2. Which brings us to -3. Minus D is +2, which brings us to -5. So we are back to point B. 43 refers to the following diagram. 2 poles of different length are placed against a wall at identical angles, forming 2 similar triangles. Select 2 numbers from those below that give possible values for the length of the shorter pole and the height of the wall that it reaches. It should be 4 and 5. Now we can just half the two numbers. AJ was prescribed an antibiotic that must be taken as 1 tablet every 8 hours. Following the instructions, he took the first tablet at 2 p.m. on Monday and took the last tablet 3 days later on Thursday at 2 p.m. How many tablets of antibiotic did he take? So luckily the time is the same, so it's full days. 3 full days means 3 times 24 hours, which is 72. 72 divided by 8 is equal to 9 tablets. Should be 9 plus 1, right? Because it took the first tablet at time 0, so it should be 1 more tablet. That's a tricky one. And it should be 10. And so from the first tablet that he took, it's 72 hours more, and then at the very end he takes 1 more tablet. 78 divided by 8 is 9, plus 1 more tablet that he took at the start is 10. Over an 8-year period, Katrina's $14,000 investment in stocks market increased by 180%. What was the value of her investment at the end of the period? But it increased, so we keep the original obviously, and then it increased by 180%. So it's plus 14,000 times 180%, or times 1.8. And this alone is 25,200, so we add this to 14,000 and we get 39,200. Refers to the following diagram. For the semicircle above, point C represents the middle point of the arc AB. Which of the following represents the coordinates of point C? So these are y values. So y, y is here. So y, this is 11, this is 3. So 3 minus 11 is 8. So the whole distance here is 8, which means in the middle is 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. So the y value is 7. And the x value so since this is a semicircle, it's a circle, and middle point here, this is the radius basically, so half the distance is the radius. We just figured out that this is 4, so this is a distance of 4 here. X is 2 plus 4 is 6, so then values are 6, 7. Correct answer is 8. And that was the full math test. I hope you're still here towards the end, and I hope you've learned something new and are more prepared for the GED test. And I wish you all the best for your future and success in your GED math test. See you in the next screencast.